Good day, everyone. Oneji here. Well, this is going to be a really interesting talk today because basically I'm going to speak about nothing. That's right. You're going to hear words spoken and I'm going to say things about nothing. But in reality, no one can really say anything about nothing. Now, there's a difference between nothing, as we would use it in English, as opposed to no thing. No, N-O dash thing, T-H-I-N-G. So basically, this is what pure awareness is. It's not a thing. It's not a place. It's not an entity. It's not a being. It's neither male or female. It's not an ET. It doesn't live in another dimension. It simply is. In fact, it is without dimension. It can't be measured, it can't be quantified, and it can't be spoken about. So, if we can't speak about it, then why are we going to speak about it today? Because basically, as human beings, we use words. And we talk about things. And in order for us to try to understand that, which is really not understandable, we're pretty much limited to words. It's the same thing that everyone in all history has had the same issue. They had to use words. So today we're going to talk about awareness and how things came into being. So, if we think about awareness as this blank screen, basically it's formless. It's without measure. It's without dimension. It doesn't exist, yet it is. And that's exactly what awareness is. It's aware, period. It can't even be aware of itself because it's not a self. In order for one thing to be aware of something else, two things has to exist. Since it is present, always present, it can't think about itself. It can't measure itself. It's just pure awareness. For reasons known only to it, it decided to create things or objects. And within these objects, it exists. In fact, it would be better to say that the objects exist in it. It is omnipresent. It's omnicentered. We can think of this or call this the formless void. Basically, it has no form. It decided to want to be able to have interactions with itself. No one really knows why. It just did. So a way of describing this is to begin by saying the I. The I came into existence, which is a miraculous within itself because, hey, I came out of nowhere. However, this is a unique I, because this is the I without the other. So one great sage, Sri Ramana Maharishi, referred to this as the I. It's the I without the other. It simply is I. So a way of discussing manifestation, after the I came into existence, or should we say I arose, then I am arose. Now, this I am is a very unique word when you think about it, because if you were to sit down and get in touch with the one thing that you actually know, all you would be able to say is, I am. You know you exist. If you ponder that further, you may not know where you came from, how you got here, where you're going, what's going to happen tomorrow, what's going to happen 3 weeks from now. But you can say, I am. You exist. You exist. However, when I am arose, there still was nothing in existence. It was just the potential to create things came into existence. From the I am, all objects or things came into existence. So let's look at this from the standpoint of a subatomic particle. So many of us nowadays are familiar with, or at least have heard of, quantum physics. It's the buzzword nowadays, quantum physics. So we have subatomic particles. There are bunches of subatomic particles. No one really knows how many subatomic particles there are, but they've been able to identify 16 or 20 or so subatomic particles so far. So let's say for some reason or the other, 2 or 3 subatomic particles decide to get together, and when they do so, they become this thing called a neutron. Then a bunch of other subatomic particles decide to get together, and they become a proton. Then, of course, another group of subatomic particles decides to get together and become an electron. For whatever reason, they decide to join together. Now they're an atom. Now, if you take a bunch of atoms and put them together, then you get molecules. And if you take a bunch of molecules together, then you can get bigger and bigger things as you assemble more and more molecules. For instance, a human being. Now, a human being is quite often referred to as an organism. So why use the word organism? Basically, it means an organization of cells. A whole bunch of cells organized together in very specific ways, and lo and behold, a human being exists. However, we're more than just matter. If we were matter, we would just lay on the ground and not move. Somehow or the other, sentience is breathed into form, and then all of a sudden it becomes animated. For instance, now I'm speaking to you. I'm an animation. I'm a sentient being. I'm aware that I am. All of these things come together in a way, awareness interacts with it, and then awareness does what it does. For instance, I'm a human male. I have 2 dogs. They live in the house with me. They are a different type of form. They have a different sort of sentience. Each one of my dogs have very distinct personalities. So the Creator has created infinite, diverse varieties of things. Has created infinite, diverse varieties of objects. For instance, look in the sky at night. You'll see all of these little twinkling lights. And in these twinkling lights, what's there? We call them stars. So, why does a star shine? Why does a star shine light and a planet doesn't? A star shines light, a planet reflects light. Each thing has its nature in accordance with I am. Remember, I am is the Creator. The formless void itself is not in interaction with any of this, yet at the same token it is. So you have to think of it like this. Simultaneously, awareness is omnipresent. It's present in all places, all times, and all non-places, all non-times. And at the same token, it's completely aware of all of its objects in creation. Not only is it aware of all of its objects in creation, all of its objects in creation are behaving in accord with its nature, which it utilizes the I am to create, to guide, to maneuver. So it'd be as if we were in a gigantic play of sort. But it's not just like a play we would go and see on Broadway, where there's a bunch of actors acting on a stage. In this case, it's not only the actors on the stage, but it's all the little atoms and molecules and subatomic particles within each actor. It's also acting out a part. For instance, my eyes do the things that my eyes do, but they don't do the things that my ears do. My ears are able to hear sound. My eyes can't hear sound. My ears can't see light. My eyes can see light. My nose smells little molecules floating through the air. It picks them up and it allows me to identify things. So as human beings, we have what's commonly known as the 5 senses. We can see, we can hear, we can smell, we can taste, and we can touch. Now in yoga they go one step further, and they also call the ability to recognize a sight, known as to cognize something, also as a sense. So I'm able to recognize pictures. I'm able to recognize sounds. I'm able to think about what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. I'm able to put multiple senses together into one gigantic soup, so to speak. And from this soup, I'm able to experience existence. Now I realize that there could be other ways to speak about this, and no matter what way I speak about it, it's just going to be a concept. So, let's go over this one more time. Pure awareness, which exists in no dimension, meaning it's dimensionless, it's timeless, but is simply aware. Another way of looking at this would be the formless void. Out of the formless void arose the I, or the I. Once the I was in presence, then I am arose from the I. I am is the potential to be all objects and all things. And at the center of all objects and all things is awareness. So in essence, awareness is omni-centered. At the center of every single thing there is, awareness is. Yet if you were to go there at the center of that thing, you would find nothing. No thing, because awareness is not a thing. If you were to try to measure it, you wouldn't be able to measure it because it's not measurable. So quite often what happens is when our mind, big M-I-N-D, encounters awareness, to the mind it appears as nothingness. The mind begins to try to grab this. What is this? And with nothing being there, then it turns around again and goes towards something that it can grasp, meaning, oh, I see a tree, I see a dog, there's my car, this is my shirt. It's looking for some object, something that's tangible. And this is one of the reasons why awakening happens only through the grace of awareness. Because the mind itself cannot be awake. You as a person can never be awake. Awakening happens to you by grace. Now there are several types of awakening, and I'm only going to speak of two here today. And that is the awakening that happens instantaneously. You're walking, all of a sudden, whew, wow, you got it. Enlightenment has happened. You're now self-realized. That is an exceptionally rare event. What's more likely to occur is at some point in your life, maybe it was when you were a little child, like myself, or maybe it was when you were 40, or 50, or 20, who knows when, something on the inside seems to arise and say, something's not right. This world I'm looking at just isn't right. I used to think things were this way and that there were independent, autonomous entities, human beings who were independent from each other, but this is not correct. These things I've been hearing in my church or my synagogue or in my mosque, they just don't seem correct. These stories about God or Allah or Yahweh or whatever name your deity is just doesn't feel right. So with me, something is not right. I used to sit in church and listen to the priest speak and saying, this isn't right. I don't know what's right, but something's wrong. And so I began to explore. And then through time and space and much effort, then all of a sudden, awakening happened for me. There's a really good chance that you're having those feelings as well. which is why you're sitting here today, investing your time in watching this video, which is why perhaps you spent countless hours meditating or reading books or going to satsang, speaking with your friends, questioning different individuals about their experience. What you should know is that grace is forever present. Awakening already is. So the paradox is you're already awake. The paradox is you're already enlightened. The paradox is you're already self-realized. Now, the covering is going to be removed now or tomorrow, which will be the now then, or 2 weeks from now, which will be the now then as well. Because the only thing that exists is now. Presence is here. Present is omnipresent. Have a wonderful day, and thank you. Farewell for now.